I didn't realize this was even valuable. Here I am holding on to information or experiences really when I could share them, and those experiences could literally impact somebody else in a positive way, and you're responsible.
Hey everyone, my name's Kyle Wallgren, and yes, this is another episode of the Business of Education. Today, we're going to take a little different approach around our guests. Typically, we focus on young educational technologies, but our guest today has been transforming lives through education for over 20 years. He was a pioneer in the, I'm going to say, educational audio or video teaching methods before it was even a thing. Our guest is Brad Lea. He is the CEO and founder of Lightspeed VT. He is also the host of the podcast Dropping Bombs. Brad, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate you, man.
So, Brad, I appreciate you jumping on the show. I became a fan of yours a long time ago. The first video I actually saw was, and I'm going to mess this up, you were talking about, somebody asked you about putting your wife on a budget. And I think your response was, if you have to put your wife on a budget, you don't make enough money. And I was watching the video with my wife, and she said, you need to follow this guy. He's got it going on. So that was one of the first videos I ever seen of yours. Brad, can you tell us a little bit about Lightspeed TV and what you guys do?
Well, it's Lightspeed VT.
Sorry, VT.
Hey, and make that a distinction. Otherwise, your listeners are going to go pull up a porn site.
Oh, really?
Because crazy enough, lightspeedtv.com is a porn site, and lightspeedvt.com is where you want to go.
Yes, for sure, especially our followers.
VT stands for virtual training, by the way. A lot of people are always like, what's with the VT? Well, that's virtual training, but we had to add it because way back 24 years ago, when I was trying to, trademark and register the name Lightspeed, there were people obviously using Lightspeed, so I had to go with something unique. So I added the VT.
What made you think that video training was going to be something so important? 20 years ago, people were barely getting into content.
Well, first, it wasn't necessarily video training. It was virtual training,
okay,
which is what the V stands for. We just utilized video. See, here's the thing what most people don't understand. Like, if I started anything or pioneered anything, it was online learning. Okay, so like when I started Lightspeed, there was nothing training people or there wasn't learning online. Now, there could have been shit at NASA and things I'm not aware of. But my point is there was no mainstream online training for anything. So when I went out on the road to try to open up a training business and compete with all the big name trainers that were out there, I had a realization very quickly that it didn't work. And the reason it didn't work is because I went out on the road and I gave out good content, but there was no repetition, practice, or accountability. And when I had worked for organizations in the past, and I was able to take people right out of Burger King drive-thrus and turn them into badasses. And when I say a badass, I'm talking about a sales professional, like someone that knows how to sell, close, persuade, influence, transfer enthusiasm and certainty, and sell products. Right? I was able to do that very easily. Well, when I quit my job to go build the company to do that, worldwide, it wasn't as effective as it used to be. And I couldn't figure out why. So I said, let's take a look here. What did I used to do? And then I realized, what I was doing? I was giving out the good content, but I was doing it repeatedly. Okay. I worked there. I witnessed it. I watched them all day long. I was repeating myself. Then I was practicing with them every single day, practicing these things and these tracks and these rebuttals and these skill sets. And then I was holding them accountable. And I realized, holy crap, dude, that's why training, real training, has to have good content, repetition, practice, and accountability. Otherwise, it's not actually training. It's exposing. So most companies that think they have a training program actually have an exposure program. And you're just exposing people to videos. Mm-hmm. So a library of videos is one thing, and then a world-class training system is completely another. So I realized that I couldn't make this impact if I didn't figure something out that I could deliver good content, repetition, practice, and accountability. And I didn't want to work for other companies, and I didn't want to live out of a suitcase. So I just thought to myself, well, I'm saying the same thing over and over and over. It's just different faces and different directions of conversation. What if I could emulate that, put it online where they could just log in and see me and hear what I had to say, and then I'll test them and I'll do. And I thought, man, I got to build a online website of some kind. Now, keep in mind, this was in '99 or 2000, so internet wasn't very advanced. So then again, I went and found someone, obviously, and built the first version of it, and it worked, and it started working, and I started, competing with all these big name trainers and subject matter experts, and then I ran into a lot of competition of their customers, meaning I ran into the people that were just avid fans of these other bigger name people,
Mm.
and so I said to them, what if I had their content on this platform? Would you do it then? And they said, if you had those guys in this thing, yeah, I'd pay monthly for it, which was just a license fee. And so I said, screw it. I'm going to go close those guys on using my methodology, my online training system, so they don't have to build their own. And so I just started closing all the big name experts and then started pointing them at the people that wanted their training. And then they started realizing, oh, licensing my training is pretty valuable. The fact that it's online means it's scalable. And turns out it's even more effective. What they were doing in the past was showing up, doing a seminar, and then leaving. Good content was delivered, but there was no practice. There was no repetition. There was no accountability. In fact, a lot of the times, the management that holds those people accountable didn't even know what they were taught because they weren't there. So in reality, all these salespeople came to this big training event, came back with a little bit of enthusiasm. Sales went up for about a week, and then they went back down because you're always going to sink to the level of your expertise and your training. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, long story short, that's when kind of my software company blew up, and I just started closing all the subject matter experts and bowed out of the training expert space and just supported the training experts. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so, just to touch base, some of the people that you've worked with in the past, these big guys, Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Damon John, Les Brown, Grant Cardone, just to name a few. But these are some of the biggest names in training or entrepreneurship there is. Was the thrill of that training them, or was it the chase in closing that sale? I know closing sales is a big thing that you talk about on your social media platforms as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's never the chase. For me, it's like a lot of people say, it's not the destination, it's the journey. Well, I appreciate the journey, and I understand what they're trying to say when people say that, because if you get to where it is you want to be, you'll realize, well, it was the fun was getting there. The life passed while you were getting there. You should have been appreciating the life because now you're there, but you're old. Well, with that being said, what are you trying to accomplish is the question. I'm trying to accomplish this objective, this goal. Well, then to me, that's the prize. It's not the journey to it. Like the journey to it is now, uh, wrought with pain and agony and discipline and sacrifice and suffering and frickin', not doing what you want to do, doing what you have to do to get to that goal. Make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. I was never in education. I grew up in Canada. I built multiple different companies. And then in 2015, when the oil field crashed, I moved to the United States after getting divorced. And I'd built a couple successful companies in the United States. The one I sold before this, we went from zero to $46 million in revenue in less than 18 months.
Bang! Where's
The
your course, Kyle?
Well, we're going to talk about that afterwards, but I knew, all I knew is that I had been in, 6 or 7 different business industries, and I was able to be successful, profitable in those different businesses. And then one night while working on that other business, my daughter called me, who I hadn't seen in over 18 months because of the COVID restrictions, asking me to teach her how to read. And I grew up struggling to read my whole life. And I knew I wasn't going to let my kids go through that effort. And as a father, you know this, you're going to do anything for your kids. And for me, I felt super empty because I hadn't tucked my daughter in or kissed her goodnight in over a year and a half because of the border restrictions and me being able to travel back to my home country. So the next morning, after spending up all night researching on a solution for this, I couldn't find that solution. So I sold my company to my other two business partners and decided that I was going to help fix the reading industry and software. I had no background in this. And that's ultimately why I've reached out to people like yourself, is because there's a lot that I don't know about teaching. There's a lot that I don't know about putting people together and building out teams. And this is something that you've done for over 20 years. And now, after building a successful training company, you're focused on impacting lives and fulfilling the people that you engage with. And it's become a more fulfilling journey for you from the research that I've done. This has been the most fulfilling thing I've ever gotten involved in, is trying to impact children's lives. Not knowing that I was going to do that. A lot of my audience is young ed tech founders, entrepreneur founders. You were ahead of the curve when building your virtual training. What are some of the challenges you've seen as the space has advanced and as technology is changing?
Well, I mean, originally, a lot of people said it wouldn't work. Nobody wanted to train online. Um, Fortunately, I found someone that, was capable of building something that, definitely was worth it, or we wouldn't still be in business. But ultimately found someone that could build it and then just, ran with it. There wasn't a lot of, thought put into it. Like, well, what if it doesn't work? What if it does work? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
So
I'm not, go ahead.
ultimately you wanted to make an impact, so you jumped and you didn't look behind you. I think that there's a lot of people today are so scared of what the landing looks like that they could make an impact, but they just sit there and are fearful of what the outcome is going to be. For some of those people that need some motivation, for a shitty term, to jump or take that risk and go out on their own and make a difference, what's something that you would give them for advice?
Well, number one, what's the worst that could happen? I always pose that question to myself every time I go to make a decision. I mean, there's a few things that go into my decision making. And by the way, if people really pay attention to what, is truly the process of changing your life, it boils down to changing your decisions, changing your choices. Like, literally, the choices you make determine the road you take. It's bottom line choices. So I make my choices running it through a series of questions, which are just logical. Number one, does this move me towards or away? Because again, most people's lives are the result of their choices. So you just want to make better choices. Now, when you say, like before, you said, when I wanted to make an impact. Originally, when I wanted to make an impact, it came from helping this guy that was making minimum wage at a company I worked for. And he was a good dude, had a nice family, and I helped him go from minimum wage to like 15, 20 grand a month. And literally, I watched his whole life change because of the added income. And that made me quit and go start the training company. Why? Because I wanted to help other people make more money. And the craziest thing is, I wanted to help the basic people, the laborers, the people I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the best way to do it, is like when you achieve something, you want to reach back and help the person you used to be achieve the same thing. And when you do that, you're making an impact, obviously. But it, believe it or not, feels better than the actual money that you're getting from it. Getting DMs every day talking about how I saved lives, changed lives, this, that, the other thing. Like, dude, it just feels good. It's because, like, man, I thought this was common sense, or man, I didn't realize this was even valuable. Here I am holding on to information or experiences, really, when I could share them, and those experiences could literally impact somebody else in a positive way, and you're responsible. Well, I promise you, there's some sort of karmic, retribution, good and bad, which means, like, the the more you're willing to go out and help other people, the crazy as it sounds, the more you'll be helped. Meaning, again, Zig Ziglar said it: the best way to get what you want is to help others get what they want,
I agree with
because
that.
then everybody's winning and it's just all good positive freaking vibes. And when it boils down to it, Kyle, we're just vibrations, man. You are a vibration. I am a vibration. We are vibrations. The question is what frequency are we vibing at? And the frequency is based on what you frequently see.
I'm assuming you and Dave Meltzer are associates or friends.
I know Dave, but we don't have long, deep conversations. So I wouldn't say he's a friend, but again, yeah, I'd say, yeah, Dave's a friend, but no, we don't have long, deep conversations. Is this what he says too?
I have. So I had Dave on the show a little while ago, and he lives by this. And
Yeah.
so
Well, he's right then.
yeah. So before I started my first business, I had an injury. I used to rodeo, and my mom brought me a book called The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it talks about, being aligned
Who
with the
is it?
universe. And pardon me.
I said, who is it?
Okay. Some people, when I talk to them about it, they look at me with like I've got three eyes. But she
The
gave.
Secret, bro? That's like the freaking foundation of this whole self-development movement. When that came out, everybody's like, damn. And then you start realizing, holy moly, this stuff's true.
It is. It is. I left the hospital after reading that book and being injured, starting my first company and not having any business, starting a business. I didn't even graduate high school, but, just keeping that positive energy and focusing on what the future could be if I just kept waking up and putting my best foot forward has molded my entire life. And I will give 100% of the credit of my success or successful journey to that book, starting me on this path. You said that it's the DMs, the you've helped save my life. You've got over 3,000 or 3 million followers across multiple different social platforms. How important has it been building out your brand to expanding the amount of impact that you're able to make?
Say that again. Those are some big fancy words. What did you say?
You have over 3 million followers on across your social media platforms.
4, but who's counting?
4? Okay, 4 now. So my research is old and bad, so I apologize. Over 4 million followers. How important has it been to focusing on building your brand across those platforms to impacting the lives that you get to affect every day?
I'm not sitting there thinking about it all day. Like the other day, someone asked me, what did it feel like to hit rock bottom? And I said, I don't think I've ever hit rock bottom. They're like, what do you mean? Didn't you say you were homeless on the beach? Yes, but is that really rock bottom? And they're like, homeless, bro? That's pretty rock bottom. See what I mean? Like, it's all about perspective, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, they don't have the right perspective. And fortunately, I've learned to be grateful. And that's what it's based in, gratitude. And the gratitude for simply being alive is so immense for me that the hard things are like positive things still. Why? Well, because, man, I'm being tested to see if I'm worthy. Like, dude, I can't believe I'm alive to be tested. I'm just appreciative and I'm grateful. And I think that gratitude changes my frequency. When reality, it changes my perspective. And then that changes your frequency because now you have optimism and hope and joy and happiness and possibilities, where most people are waking up and they're in the anxiety and doubt and fear and worry vibration. And they stay there all day. And they don't realize that is attracting all the shit that's making you worry and anxiety and fear and doubt and worry. It's all coming from you. Why? Because that's what you're in. That's what you are. You are a frequency of that. And guess what you're attracting? Other like frequencies, because like frequencies attract. So if you're down here in worry and fear and anxiety, you're going to attract those things to keep this perpetual. So you have to raise your energy. You have to change your state. You have to get your vibration out of that low scale or low, on the tone scale, that's way down here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You want to be up here in gratitude and love and happiness and optimism and enthusiasm and like good stuff. Okay. Now you're going to start attracting that. But people don't believe that. Why? Well, because they don't focus on the three key areas that are literally all you need to know to become successful in life.
And
And
what
when someone says, "Well, what's successful mean?" Brother, that's up to you. Okay, I can tell you what it means to me, but like it doesn't matter what it means to me. It should matter what it means to you. Problem is most people don't take the time to figure out what success actually looks like, which is why they never find it. And some of them find it and they don't even realize they found it because they don't recognize it. Why? They never thought about it. You need to really think about it because I think success, there's no key. It's a combination and everybody has their own. So you have to go think about what's successful to you, but how do you get it? That's the question. Well, it's not that difficult. You know what you need to focus on? Your mindset, your skill set, and your habits. What's that mean? Your mindset has to be of abundance, has to be up here, has to be of gratitude. Can't be pissy, can't be complaining, can't be blamey. Okay. Then once you get that, you got to have a decent set of skills. Like, what are you, average? Are you just average? Well, then go practice, get better. Like, focus 100 or 2 hours on something, brother. You're better than 95% of the people doing it. Like, go practice, dude. Anyone can do it. Stop making excuses and get better. So now you're very, very good at your skills. Listen, the best in the world get paid. Don't you notice that?
mm-hmm.
Anyone who's the best at anything is the one that gets the notoriety and the money. So get your skill set dialed in. It's called practice. Anyone can do it. Doesn't matter what it is. Everyone's got the ability to go get good at whatever they want. Then the third one is your habits. What are you doing every day? What actions are you taking? Because if those are screwed up, it doesn't matter. You could have a positive attitude and you're not very good and you don't go anywhere. It is possible to run positively in the wrong direction. So being enthusiastic and hyped up and abundant all by itself is not the answer. A lot of people think that's all you have to do. No, it isn't. You got to get the right mindset because it's important, but you got to get some skills based on what you want to do and where you want to go. What skills, Brad? Brother, I don't know. Like, go look at what it is you want to do. What skills do those require? Go find the people in the field that are doing the best. What skills do they have? Like, dude, use your brain. I need to get better at X, X, and X. Okay, go practice X, X, and X repeatedly for the next 5 years if necessary. And if you're like not willing to do it, well, then shut up and quit freaking saying that you want to do something you're never going to do. Why? Because you're wasting your time. Okay. You're not, it's never going to happen. Why? You got to do it. That's why. And most people, they can just think about it. Matter of fact, most of them aren't even thinking about it. That's why they can't recognize it or describe it. But
the
once you can, you focus on your mindset, you get your skill sets down, you get your habits down, and you're crushing.
That's
You're
all
crushing.
awesome stuff. There's I saw a video the other day by Jesse Etzler, and he said it only takes 18 minutes a day, every day of practice to become the top 1% in something. Like 18 minutes. If that stat's true, that's very little effort.
Well, Jesse Itzler is someone you should definitely listen to. If anyone doesn't know who that is, you better go out and Google the man. And then I would suggest following him as well.
He's got some good
There's
stuff.
speakers in this world, and he's one of them. He's probably one of the best live speakers that you'll ever see.
He's definitely one of my favorites, and I attend Grant's conferences each year, and he has some good ones too. But Jesse has definitely been the best.
The best speaker, I believe, that Grant ever had at all of his 10X events. This guy was at the first three, and I think he was the best of all time. In fact, everyone that goes to the 10X conferences, everyone in the 10X universe still remembers this guy.
Yeah.
More than any other speaker. And what he said specifically, which was brush your teeth. Guess who I'm talking about? Guess who I'm talking about?
Say that again?
Guess who I'm talking about?
I have no idea.
Me.
You? Why would he say that?
Why would who say what? I said it.
Oh, okay.
I spoke at the first three 10Xs. I was the best speaker at any 10X conference ever in the history of the world.
Yeah, that's a hard room to be in when you're standing in the room with Jesse for sure. But I
Hey, by the way, with the exception of Jesse, I'd say Jesse is good.
the thing that I love about listening to your content is it's very relatable. Like you feel very approachable, very authentic. It's a little rough and edgy, and I think that society has kind of gone away from that alpha mentality, and it's like refreshing to hear somebody take a very strong and direct approach to what their opinion is and have like no backup behind what you say. And that's the thing that I really appreciate about the stuff that I get to watch about you. The other thing that you'd mentioned is the importance of gratitude. And this was probably the biggest takeaway from when I read The Secret was gratitude. And I have a gratitude routine. It might sound crazy. Is that something you implement in your day-to-day practices? Do you have any sort of gratitude routine?
I used to. I mean, I just wake up in the morning, and as soon as I do, it's instant gratification for getting another day healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Mm-hmm.
So prior to that, I would put a sign on my wall so that when I did wake up and I started thinking about bills and rent and all the things we think about, I'd look at that sign, and that sign trained me over the years. I mean, if I could tell anyone to do anything, that's what I did that changed the game mentally, which was I put a sign on my wall that said, "Congratulations, you get another day." So
Oh,
when I
that's
woke
awesome.
up, I looked at it, reminded me. So every single day I was reminded and thought about and agreed with, man, waking up is so freaking unbelievably valuable that literally you wouldn't trade it for anything. Like, you wouldn't trade it for anything. If I said, I'll give you $10 million, but you can't wake up tomorrow, you'd be like, of course not. Well, then you think it's worth more than $10 million? Yeah. Well, then why aren't you acting like you just got $10 million?
That's a
Why
good.
are you so freaking nonchalant about it? Why are you walking around like freaking poor you, dude? You just got something worth millions of dollars, and you do every single morning. And see, that's why you start to take it for granted. You don't really appreciate it anymore. Why? Well, because it happens all the time. Well, dude, that makes you a gifted individual. That makes you unbelievably blessed, doesn't it?
It does.
Now, why are you depressed? Now, why are you talking shit? Now, why are you blaming everybody? Why aren't you contributing? Why aren't you collaborating? Why are you so angry? Why are you so depressed and worrisome? You woke up, bro.
It's such a simple answer. It feels like, and I agree
Hey,
with what you're saying 100%. The first thing I do when I open my eyes, I just say thank you for my kids' health and my family, and this day. And I call it my routine, but I've been doing it for years, and now it's my everyday. Right. So, uh, one of the things that I read about what you've done is you say that most businesses fail because of lack to information, and that was one of your motivations to starting Lightspeed. What do you think with today, how people can utilize information a little bit more, and how do you think they should access it? What would be your priority approach to being able to stay up with trends, or reach out to getting the information that you're needed? I guess one of the biggest things I focus on is networking on this show, and bringing people that I am fortunate enough to be able to talk to answer questions that I have personally in my journey. But what are some of the things you do when you have a question that you want to get answers for?
well, I seek. Like, I have a question right now. Like, you didn't even flinch or notice or mention the fact that I just put on sunglasses. So, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, do you not notice this, or are you so professional that you're not even going to let it phase you?
It wasn't that I didn't notice it. It was that it wasn't important. For whatever reason that you put your sunglasses on was for you. It wasn't
No,
affecting me.
it was a test to see if you would say something, because to me, then it goes back to the question of, in my mind, being real. It's not rough and it's not edgy, it's just real, and people don't necessarily like real all the time. So, like, real would have been, I put on my suit. Like, if all of a sudden you just put on that helmet,
Mm-hmm.
I'd laugh and acknowledge it. Like, what are you doing? Like, most people think, well, we're on a podcast, and this is informational, so I need to stick with the script and I cannot break the, but that's not real. That's not real. So, to use this as the nugget I'm trying to drop, people need to realize that if they want to increase their net worth, they have to increase their self worth. and people need to understand that they're never going to outperform their own self-image. So in my mind, I don't need your validation to make me feel good. You see what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? And if we could get everyone to do that, man, we're going to live in a much happier society.
I agree with that.
Less hate, less envy, less greed. Why? Well, because we've learned how to make ourselves happy, and that's who needs to make you happy. And again, that's what kind of where you were going with your response to that, which is, hey, that's your business. It wasn't important to me. That's why I didn't mention it. Well, again, you're a different individual than me. Like, I would mention it. Why? I don't know. And that's why people say, dude, you're so real. You're rough. You're edgy. You bombed on that guy because he put his sunglasses on. No one would say something like that. Geez, dude, you just called him out on it like that. Well, if everybody did, we'd be happier as people. Why? Brother, love ain't lies.
No, I agree with
That's
that
all.
100%. And I think not that I'm trying to defend, what I did by any means. It just, to me, there's a lot of distractions sometimes from getting to the end result. And my goal or my intentions was getting the question answered. If you wanted to
Boom.
answer the
Dude, you
question
dropping
on your
bombs.
head, I don't care what that looks like, because I needed to pay attention to the information you were giving me to.
Kyle, you're a quick-witted, intelligent man. I like that answer. I'm sold. I'm withdrawing my viewpoint from before. I agree.
I appreciate that. One of the things,
Because again, you're probably the guy that I would like want running a company, one of my companies, like that kind of mentality. I love it. You just shifted my perspective. Now I'm going to be a little bit more like that.
I appreciate that, Brad. That really means a lot, because I do follow you, and I do take the information that you give and absorb it, and really put a lot of thought behind it, because I feel like there's people that have done great things, that have changed industries like yourself, and that they're giving nuggets all the time, because impacting people's lives is more valuable than the money that it generates. And I think that that's truly who you are. And that's my mission. Is I do it with kids instead of adults, and it's my mission to impact lives. I think if we can give people more information, a little bit different than what your take is, that they have a better chance at being happy, successful, just in general. I'll give you a scary stat. 54 million American adults can't read the menu at a restaurant, and we project how many prison cells are going to be needed in 10 years based off third grade reading levels. If you take somebody who is incarcerated, increase their reading levels by 2 grades, they go from an 87% chance of reoccurrence down to an 18% chance of reoccurrence. To
Well,
me,
yeah.
our problems are super simple. Teach America how to read, give them access to information, and we can make the world a better place. To me, it's like a real simple thing. And I'm not saying that ultimately it goes from A to B that simple, but in my mind, there's a small thing that we need to focus on, and it's building up the early children's literacy rates in America, and it'll change the outcome of how the US operates. When COVID was having that meltdown, was it because we were getting the best information, or was it because people were too dumb to go find out the right information? You know, to me, I
A
felt
little
like we were
both.
chasing something that we were just listening to the media, two different stories from both sides, and you picked one. But if
Well,
people,
we know who picked the right one now, don't we?
yeah, we do. And if we would have gave
Yeah,
people the
buddy.
tools to go ask those questions, there would have been more people on that side of history than there was today. So that's my journey, and that's the mission that I'm on. The question that I
Good
end
wisdom.
everything with, and I kind of touched on it briefly, and so did you, but how important is your network to your success, and how do you use that every day to grow your business?
Well, I mean, you hear the saying, sounds cliche, your network is your net worth. But in reality, there's truth to that. I believe the more hands you shake, the more money you make, which is your network. I believe everything's about relationships, because relationships equal resources, and that's your network. So the network is just another name for relationships, and your relationships are vitally important, if not the most important thing in your life you should be focusing on are your relationships. The only thing above relationships should be health. And I'm not talking about a six pack abs, even though that's a nice goal to achieve. I'm talking about health. Okay, I'm talking about longevity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about actual health. So health, then relationships, which is your network, which is your net worth, which is your resources. Wholeheartedly believe that. So how do I leverage it? Well, again, I think it's common. We leverage our resources by, utilizing, and I just said utilizing. See, a lot of people get all freaky when I say you use people. You use people. We've been taught that's a negative thing.
Mm-hmm.
No, in the most successful and advanced communities and societies in history, the use of other people is what brings up everybody. The question is how are you using them?
Right.
How are you using each other? If one class is using another class, that's not good. If they're all using each other, it freaking everything gets better. So to me, you focus on relationships by making new introductions every single day, because the people are vitally important in your future. Everything that you want to achieve is in the possession of somebody else. The money you're looking for, somebody else has your money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The
Agreed.
the 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 connection you're looking for is a relationship away. The opportunity that you've been waiting on and praying for is a relationship away. And I don't know if you know this, but my mission, and it's all over the internet if you looked it up, to get the knowledge from the people who have it to the people who need it. Very similar to why you want to teach people to read at a young age, because man, people are in prison and they can't read. When you tell me 54 million Americans, which is probably, what is that, a seventh of all Americans?
Yeah, there's
You're
roughly
telling me
364 million
that
Americans
means
here, I
one
think.
out of every seven people can't read a menu. I find that extremely hard to believe, but I'm not sure that that's even a true statistic. 52% of statistics are made up on the spot.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. I think like when
I'm joking.
no,
That's just a
I get
joke,
that.
bro.
That is fair. But there was some things like, Brad, I'm not supposed to be in education. I'm doing this because the other people that were doing it didn't do it right, and we're still
Is that what
here.
Ed Soma is?
Yeah, that's what EdSoma is. It's a literacy program. Um, we've we launched in August of this year, or I guess last year we did pilots. We launched August of this year with pilots. Next year we'll have 181,000 students on our platform, year one of operations. It's
Dude, God bless you. Anyone that can help, make sure they, go to you should have a page where people can fund the education of our children. And by the way, I mean, like, The Secret changed your life. I'm sure you've read the Think and Grow Rich,
Mhm.
the Four
Well,
Agreements.
I didn't read any of them because reading wasn't my strong point, but I listened to the audiobooks. So that's what I've always done, is listen to the audio, and I have the book in front of me so I can follow along. I seem to absorb it better that
Good.
way.
So again, a lot of these life changing books need to be in that curriculum.
I haven't thought about that, but yeah, you're right. And
Yeah, it's not just about reading, writing, and arithmetic. Like, man, schools are designed to create, you know, people that are able to communicate and function, not build, dominate, and change the world.
right.
If I were in your shoes with that mission, and you're already going to have that many kids online reading, I assume, because
Hmm.
you're not going to do it in person. So if you have 181,000 kids reading, what they're reading
Is
should be
crucial.
of vital importance.
Yes, it definitely is. And we do focus on the content within our platform. And I'll give you a little bit more information when we jump off, Brad. But I want to be respectful of your time. I know that you've been a blessing to me. I follow you every day. And I know the people that watch this follow you as well. So, Brad, thank you so much for jumping on with us.
Well, buddy, thank you for being a good dude and having
I appreciate it.